Yes,
It didn't work yesterday. I think at this point everybody knows. Down under shot. There you go.
And then you got to scroll down. From
Yeah. He's figured it out, right? Not there, not there.
No, you got to scroll that down. Put the bar down all the way to the bottom. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I know, eh? Yeah.
If you did get paper, I put some up on the wall and you can claim on those.
Okay. Morning, everybody. We are going to watch a very short video called Mr. Jensen, and it's about a young boy who had a teacher who recognized he had a talent, but I'm not going to get the talent away, so let's cross our fingers and
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen, and focus, and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there, and then I would just start tapping, and the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually when the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." So I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on the hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. So I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." Recorded and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me and he saw something in me that I didn't see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and and being the best for the world.
A video that I will say I take every time I watch that, it says something. And it says something to me because it's a moment in time, and each time you've got to take that moment of time and think about it.
So those big pieces of paper that I just handed around to most of you that are stuck up on various papers on the walls, I would like everybody to write their name at the top. Oh, boy.
I wasn't sitting.
Thank you, stop. You know that we did.
That's why they give us a big
So
one.
you guys are gonna have to put it on the wall and then you guys don't take it.
Yeah, you want to answer it?
So let me just help everybody. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna write your name on the top. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna do what your mom and dad told you never to do. Don't brag about yourself. I want you to brag about yourself. I want you to write down 3 great things about you. So I put down that I'm a good grandfather, and that I'm a good kayaker, and that I like to play baseball. So I want you to put down things that you're proud about yourself, that you want the world to know. Great things about you. Okay? You say whatever you want. You want to write 3 great things about yourself. So we all want to write 3 great things about yourself. Put your name, and then I want you to put great things about Brandon, or great things about Jane. But just make sure your name's on it.
What's this one you're gonna find?
Just so you all know, everyone needs to do one. Every one of you. Including the planning committee and supporters. Make sure you leave a bit of room on the paper. Please make sure you leave some room on the paper. That's your decision, not mine. When everybody has done their 3, we'll give you a few minutes off to do that.
There we go. There. Always one name, guy.
That's great. That's it. To tell you something, right? And it's true.
You guys doing okay?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
I'd love to see what you got.
So, did you remember that one? Part of it, yeah.
How is everyone doing? Okay.
I don't know yet.
So,
No,
your next step, if you're done,
Yeah, I'm done.
the ones that are done, I would like you to take your paper and put it on the wall and stand next to it, please. If you need tape, there's tape over here.
Yeah.
And then just put a piece of paper up on the wall and then I'll explain the second part.
Richard, there's some space here. You still looking for a spot?
Yes, and I help you.
Let's go find.
So what? We're gonna go this way?
Sorry, over there.
Yeah, starting where, starting to the line. We're gonna, hold on, now, what everybody's gonna do is you're not gonna write on your paper, but you're going to go to the person beside you and write something that you think is great about that. And if you don't know the person, you go over here. How many?
Okay, listen, please, everyone's quiet. You guys are very inquisitive, that's wonderful. Listen to her.
I'm explaining. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go this way around the room and we'll all end up back with our pieces of paper. We have to write one great thing about the person, other person's paper. It could be like, if it was mine as an example, it could be, I have a great outfit on tonight.
If it's mine, he's pretty muscular. So, 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, okay.
We're moving to the right? Okay. It's gonna matter in about 1 minute, which way do you want? Are we moving left or right? No, we're moving left. I have no idea. Hey, what way are we going? First we left. First we left. Now, there's Sandra. She writes something. Okay, Julie, we're gonna write something on Chelsea. That's good about her. So I need to write your name on so everybody knows who the hell you are. So what are we gonna write about Chelsea?
Just so you all know, spelling doesn't matter.
Now, what about? What do we want to
If
say
you
about Sandra?
don't know the person that well, you can do
Sandra right there.
a couple of things. A, put the check mark beside one of the things that you think. Or B, it could be as fun as if you've got to know the person during the time here, you could write something really nice, goodly,
I know her paper's there, but I
friendly,
want to be able to. So that's Liz over there.
hard worker. Something that kind of, you know that what you're seeing, and you can go either way of that.
Deal with it. I told them to run over. What do you want to say about Richard? I need to put in there. I thought that it was going right and then people were going left.
Guys, spelling doesn't finish. So,
Thank goodness.
I know, but I have to. Stop working.
that's okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm good.
Oh, sorry.
I Let's get out of this traffic jam.
Oh, I see.
How's everybody doing? Are you enjoying doing this? That's good.
Let us finish, man.
Okay. Why is Susan great? It's book. Got super fun. She's a filter. Yeah? I feel like okay, rice. Why is the rice great? I know exactly.
Oh, well, that's why.
You run an hour and a half a day.
Who's this?
Yeah, it's a good run. He's a great runner. I agree with that. I had to do a workout with him, and I did not like it. I can't run for an hour and a half.
You want to help me for your...
Oh, it's for Bryce's stuff. Okay, Erin.
What?
Tutor work? Tutor? Oh, computer, yeah. Do you think computer's smart? Yeah. Yeah? I'm gonna say that he's smart. He knows how to do computers. Okay, Shelly. You stole the Shelly. What's Shelly's favorite? What makes her great?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. She's very productive.
When you are done, go back to your spot at the table.
Awesome.
You're done yet?
Okay, you gotta go to the next one.
No.
We will all laugh a lot. Put that on her already? Nobody been done yet. She's a TikTok page.
Which one is Jennifer?
I know her. I think she's, oh, her.
Jane? Oh, okay. Only Jane. Oh, yeah.
When you get home with like plain language,
Around that way.
Tom, who's this guy?
Who is it?
Who can I be? Who is this person? No, who's this Bryce guy? Oh, everybody talks to me.
What did he say? What did you have on?
Chris, he's got social butterfly American Heart Teacher, runner, race.
Oh, yeah, maybe you might want to go around. Oh, you did go around. Oh, okay. I might have to wait till we.
Are you ever done?
I can get the lady in the black wig.
9:35. Kaya still has to do hers.
I'm like holding up the line here, all right.
Can I have some?
Kara?
6-minute warning.
Okay.
And by 6 you mean 8.
I'm holding the line.
Right.
Yeah, no, totally get it.
I'm trying to get people to.
All right. Holding up the line.
If we extend, we will.
I hate being visual.
No, we won't. Hey, Michael.
I'm holding up the line.
Gotta keep on schedule because we're starting late.
Yeah, so 6 to 8. I'm talking for getting the writing done.
Yes, yes, okay. But we actually remember Kaya has
Kaya has just said hers is so short.
she was like 5 minutes, but still, like she has to have to, she has to write down. And we just don't want to set it our next one, our art training, right?
Don't take away art.
No, I think I'm saying.
You're going against the flow? Yeah. Oh, Richard, what are we going to do with you? It's a good thing you're funny.
There you go.
Accessing website. That's right.
You know everybody by name. You have the advantage. I had to look, turn around, look at people.
2 to 3 minute warning, guys. 2 to 3 minutes.
I can't.
I know. Yeah, follow you all along now.
That's what that says.
All right. Finish where you are, and then go to your head back to your seat.
Not finished. Full of time, guys. We're gonna have until 10.
Yeah. That happens. Yeah, it's okay.
All right, everyone, please find your seat.
Another one? Here, grab it.
Hey, guys.
Can we just pull up?
I want everybody,
Right if they just take a picture.
what I want everybody to do is take a look at.
Julie, there's all kinds of stuff
With
on your
what
paper.
people put. Okay, now we're gonna. Okay, I'm gonna give everybody 2 minutes to look at their piece of paper. Whatever people wrote on it.
They're more easier.
Yes, and look at it, and read it. Look at it. That's right, I'm fine. This is lovely.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do.
Did you forget about it?
We're gonna pick some of you who would like to share. And what we're gonna ask you to do is only share 3 things that are on your paper. So we got, okay. I can't get everybody, but
Do you want me to hang up?
1, 2, 3, Vicky, 4, Raymond, 5, Eric, and where's number 6? We'll go to 7. The birthday girl, and we'll go to 8, you and you. So we're doing 8. So we're gonna start here and move around, okay? So you start first, sir, and here I'm gonna. Okay, first of all, James American Liquor.
Bradley, we can't hear you.
All right. Respect. Thank you very much.
So the 3 things that I wrote here are,
What do other people, what do people write?
yeah, what other people wrote are, let's see, great personality,
Okay.
nice storyteller, and I love this one, amazing family views post.
I wrote that one. I wrote that one.
Next. We pick next.
That's Cardi.
Gotta hold that really close. So introduce yourself and.
It's Chelsea. So mine says, so reserved, amazing personality, kick-ass presenter.
Okay, who's next? Oh, Vicky. Introduce yourself.
Oh, don't be that cool at all.
Very light, very fun, and making funny. Enjoyable, happily, had a great time, very happy, amazing, happy.
Thank you.
Cheers for Vicky.
I'm gonna do one more and then him,
What's your name?
What's your name?
I am Tanya.
Hiding in the corner.
I'm a good athlete. I am caring and inspiring.
Hi, I'm Raymond, and I am a self-advocate.
What are 3 things?
Be it myself, and I'm a storyteller.
Okay. My name's Eric. So, 3 things. Very smart and wise. I'm knowledgeable and wicked awesome.
Okay, first of all, I think we have enough time to sing happy birthday to Tina.
And we're doing,
And Vicky's birthday.
Oh boy, there you go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Timothy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, guys. Alrighty, the 3 things that are on my list is very happy, friendly, and lovely, and one more, wonderful laugh. Okay, guys, I'm really having hard. Good friends, compassion, and George's.
Kara's gonna add one thing, and then one of the people who.
I know, and I would also, because I did not write on your paper, but I would put great presenter.
Okay, can everybody hear me? If I lose my voice, sorry, I never saw that, Kara. Okay, my name's Tammy, and I'm a TikTok queen. I have a big heart, and I'm a very open-minded person.
I think I'm gonna read a couple off mine.
No. You guys, can I say something, Michael, first?
Sure.
I'll project. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So, Michael wants to read a couple things, and then I will say something after you're done. So, go ahead. 3 things, Michael. Got to keep them in line. You get one more minute, Michael.
All right. Okay. Great mentor. Great smart ass. And means business.
So, favorite things on mine are, I'm wicked smart, I'm an awesome mom, and I'm also loving, compassionate, and smart. I don't get to do very often. So what you guys get to do is take this home with you, hold it up. For those of us who are flying, you can hold it up. And you're having a really, really bad, happy day. You put it somewhere in your closet, in your memory box, whatever. You can go in there and pull it up and remember why we do the things we do, and then you won't have a crap day anymore.
Hey, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
We're just gonna take it out on this.
Oh,
We've got a couple minutes, so everybody sit down, get a little bit of room. And here we go.
Favorite video? Vegas. Bryce, get ready.
So let's bring Kai down. And anyhow, I gave it a try. Maybe
Let's go YouTube as well.
Hey, Kaya.
Hey, Michael, can I ask a question? Did you want people to take care of them now or later? You can do it now or something.
On break.
Like, do you want to pay off the break? No, let's
No,
wait until break.
let's wait till break.
There we go. But I mean, if someone knew what to do, they could just go help
it was in the sound setting? You've always had that. Where's Liz?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
So he wasn't there at first. I think the oranges go on when we start. The oranges go on when we start. Like it wouldn't have been during break.
There you go.
Yay.
I'll check it out.
You're dancing up.
today's session by talking about mindfulness as a leader. So a little bit about me. So I grew up with a large family of 10 kids. So the household got pretty busy, had 3 dogs as well. Now I'm down to 1. One of the dogs was my own baby boy, and he passed away in March, so I have a tattoo, so there's something a little special you can get to know about me. I love crafting, and get ahead of myself, see, that's there we go. I also graduated from KPU with a certificate of arts, and I'm also on the board of Inclusion BC and other self-advocate communities as well, but mostly for Inclusion BC. Okay, so why I became a leader? So I wanted to be a leader because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted the next generation to have an easier life instead of struggling with hardships as our generation has. And I wanted others that had like-mindedness as me to also help others in their community for the next generation. Okay, so mindfulness for a good leader. So this is how I became a good leader. Is mindfulness puts you in the right headspace to become a good leader. Being in the right headspace means that you think positively. Always being a leader means you always have to be positive. Nobody likes a cranky leader. Okay, so this is your routine if you want to become a leader every single morning. So you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to do your stretches, you're going to write 5 things you're grateful for, then I want you to make your bed, and then I want you to say out loud in front of a mirror those 5 things that you're grateful for. So, your 5 things that you're grateful for, be big or small, and we're going to do this right now on your piece of paper. So grab your favorite color you see, and so I want you to write your 5 things, so it can be big or small. So some people, it might be, I got out of bed today. I finally ate food. That's usually mine. It could be big things, like I'm grateful for a family, I'm grateful for whatever. Just make sure that it's short and sweet. No paragraphs, please. And then after you're done writing those, I'm going to give you like a couple more seconds to write your 5 things. And then I have picked some people I'm going to pick on. Yeah, 5 minutes to do, yeah. And remember, big or small, so you don't have to think too hard. You're making me think, Kaya. That's the point. And then a brain doesn't want to think anymore. Well, let me know how it was then. I know. She's being yeah. Having a positive mindset makes you very silly as well, so silly works too. How's everybody doing so far? We still have 2 more minutes to go. Everybody still need those 2 minutes? Yes. Okay.
I'm not done.
That makes sense. Right. So how's everybody doing? Do we need more time? I have one more. 50 seconds. 50 seconds, and then I'm gonna start picking up people. Michael, you're my first victim.
Oh, really?
I duck behind the screen. That's all right.
David, you're the second. No, I'm not.
You are.
I want to say sure.
Yes.
Okay, so that's time's up. So I'm gonna have my first victim read out his 5 things he's grateful for.
Grateful for my friends. Grateful for my sense of humor. Grateful for grateful for the work I do. Grateful for the leadership. And final one, grateful for my wine.
Okay, everybody quiet so you can hear Vicky, because so she doesn't have to talk loudly.
I'm thankful for my mom and dad. I'm thankful for being an aunt. I'm thankful for my siblings. That's awesome. My work and being alive, good food and good friends, cooking I do, and my art and my job.
My things I'm grateful for are my sons, my friends, BCSAL and Advocacy Society, being part of being here, and just being grateful that even though McKinney's kind of gone Kapitsky on me, I'm still here.
Yes.
Great leader, respectful speaker, and joker, good humor, and respectful.
I am grateful for friends. I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for being here today. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful for having a voice for people.
Hi. I'm grateful for being a part of Self-Advocates community, to be, and then another one is to be connected with family, to have a place to live, to be able to help others, and the last one, to have great employers.
Tony Willow, strong, that I keep moving, live in Canada, and I'm alive.
For everyone. I'm grateful that I'm a part of Merely You. I'm grateful that I got to go to this event. I'm happy to meet new people. I'm grateful for my family. I'm glad I get to be part of something bigger.
Michelle, it is your turn.
I'm glad I have a roof, food, and family, being a mom and having rights.
I'm grateful that I became to be a mom and a grandma. I'm grateful for friends, being alive. I had hard job with some people, I almost not make it, so. And again, I get up in speaking up for others.
For our victims. But we are going to now have a break, so if everybody can come back here about 10:30. Yeah, for the next
I
session.
know, I'm sorry, we're a little bit late starting, so we only have 15-minute break.
Yeah.
So, yes,
So fast, gonna be quick, quick water,
Yeah.
come back in.
I feel like I'm 50. Yes, I have. In fact, I have 3 sons.
And then all we'll do is just. Have you dropped the, just that here, one's mine. Thank you. Oh, that's the, yeah, you can fly this green. And then.
Why too few? It looks like some of them are cute. Do you have any pencils that need sharpening?
I think that's what you can on your own. It's not going to say. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to clean this up in this area and stuff, and I'll move that. Is it okay if I move the other two here for now? And then you guys have lots of room, okay?
Yes.
Whichever you like, whatever you like. Oh, okay, well, I'll leave some of that then. Okay. Oh, okay. How'd you do? Good? Good? Did you want anything to coffee or anything, or just? Okay. Oh, it's nice and cold. How's the smoke out there today? Yeah, yeah. Space between, or do you want to bring it? Okay. Yes, I know, I know.
And here's Bryce,
Okay.
Live on Facebook. Live on
Whatever works, yeah. So that wall space. Yeah, that's okay. Well, you give me 15 minutes, and if we get a little bit late, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Yours is gone for now. Okay, sounds good.
Oh, they want to feed. Yeah, no, they want to feed. Yeah. So they're asking for all those.
Oh, I have an idea.
Cyrus Radio. I guess I sorted. I got my whip.
Well, some people just
Yeah, I got
we're gonna use this.
Big 80s on it.
Arrow.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, you sure you want to go first? Yeah, but you know how full this paper is. You can enjoy it right now.
They're planted into the table. Here. And you want to know? Right here. Hold it.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to say that, and Vicky should be treated on her birthday, but she bought some tidbits for everybody, and we're just gonna put it at the coffee station, so I just wanted to, thanks Vicky.
I sent you something.
Yeah, I know. I think I told you. Yeah, no, I was just reading.
I didn't go on
I did find some of those. I guess I should.
Yeah, yeah.
But in my country, so 3 coffees.
Yeah, it was coffee. There's no all wraps, you know what I mean?
All the ones I got is all that.
Well, it'll keep you busy now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now you got me on it. I have it.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I doubt it.
In colleges, and so a lot of the things we're doing with our group are things we've done with college students. So that's how we've approached it. We're exploring leadership and we're having fun, we think. So this is Selena, one of the other members, and we use a workshop format. So we get together about once a month for 3 hours, and we do a whole bunch of things. So we make art, and we use art as a way to talk about what is leadership. And we have homework. I'm the homework lady. And so I get some clap for the homework I give. And we always answer some questions about what we're learning. So we just don't make art for the sake of making art, even though that's fun. We talk about what we're learning. So I repeated this a wee bit, but there you can see the group. This is very early on, and there's some people in that photo that are not in the group now. Is Jerry in that group? No, that's Ben. Oh, there's Barb in there. You can see Barb and Liz, who's here. Selena, Ben, and Barb. So we, with Jerry Laidlaw, some of you may know Jerry was in our group early on. Another person that was in our group was Anya Rothwell. So people have come and people have left. So we're a small group, and the group likes that because they can talk a lot about what's going on for them. So we started out with this picture, and it's called a Venn diagram, and we were talking about what is leadership, what is art, and how they're different, and how they're the same. So we have a lot of graphic facilitation in our group, so we keep notes and people can see what's going on. There's Jerry. So there's Aaron and Barb. So one of the things we do is we go to art galleries and we look at art. This is at Vancouver Art Gallery. And we talk about the art itself, but then we come back and say, what are we learning about leadership through this art or the artist? So we always bring it back to that big topic. So we've done a lot of things. We make collages. We go around and just pick up things and make art through found objects. We've been painting, we've been drawing and sketching. We've gone out for walks and taken photos. We've gone to the art gallery, we've watched videos, and so you can see we do a lot of different things. And sometimes we're just doing it ourselves, and sometimes we have a guest who comes and talks about art making from their perspective. So here's our group again. There's Ben at the back. There's Jerry, Selena, Anya, Liz. Look how excited Liz is. Barb. I was away for this one, but they were creating things on their iPads. And I think Gary came, right, to facilitate it, so we had a guest. The bottom one is a project that Selena did. And one of the things we gave people was what's called an artist kit. And they were to make art like the artist that was explained in the kit. So, you want to explain this one?
Sure. Yeah, this is an artist named.
I don't want to see
Hi. This is an artist in Louise Bourgeois. This isn't her, this is Selena's version of that. So Louise Bourgeois, which is about 75 years old, she made a series of 80 sculptures that got placed all around the world. And the sculptures are made of metal, they're really, really heavy. And how high do you think they are? You've probably seen them. They're like airports and art galleries. How high do you think a sculpture would be?
50 feet?
Yeah, 70 feet. It's a 70-foot giant spider. And she had this vision of putting giant spiders all around the world and that they're connected. I think there's like 80 of them. And so Selena learned about these giant spiders. And it's in a video, we'll send you a link to because it's not quite ready. But Selena talks about, and in kind of learning about these giant spiders in Louise Bourgeois, she realized a 75-year-old woman could not make a 70-foot giant spider on her own, so she needed help. And so for one of the first times in her life, she felt like it was okay to ask for help. Right? And so that was her big realization.
Not in Mama. Like if you go over to in Ottawa.
Yeah, there's one in Ottawa. So if you've been to Ottawa, you might have seen one of these huge spiders. So that was, we gave a kit, and people chose the artist that they wanted to make art, sort of like that, and this is the artist that Selena chose. And then, as you say, we learned, and that's one part of leadership, that we work together and we need help. We can't always do it by ourselves. So that would be one thing that Selena learned, and she would share that with the group, and then we would talk about it.
And this one,
Yep.
So people wanted to learn, so the folks that are in the group decide what they'd like to learn and then how they'd like to learn it. And on this week, they decided that they wanted to learn how to work on iPads because people have kind of all kinds of mystery around how do I got an iPad, how do I work it, how do I use it to make art? So we had somebody come in and we learned an app that helps you make kaleidoscopes, right? So if you go to the kaleidoscope page, you look through it, and it changes all the colors and makes it fun. But the thing that was cool was in this app, it's partly to make a kaleidoscope and partly self-regulation and calming yourself down. And so when that woman was doing the mindfulness workshop, so you actually create this image and then it kind of pulsates, right? And so you can use it for meditation and self-regulation. So it was a very cool project.
As we say, you can see Liz there. She obviously enjoyed herself.
Yeah, I love being art.
That's smart.
And as you can see, one of the things we did, we had someone come and do songs from The Sound of Music. And then we talked about what did we learn about those songs and ourselves and how that connected back to what do we think leadership is, what do we have to offer in being a leader. So we make and we talk about art. That's kind of the foundation, but we are always bringing that conversation back to what does it mean to be a leader. And that was the big question that started us 4 years ago. And we're still talking about that question, but we have moved on. So these are some of the things that the group has said. There are many places where we can lead. Leadership is feelings are part of thinking because we're obviously doing a lot of thinking, but we always talk about how do you feel about this. We look at pictures in a new way, so rather than just going like, oh, that's an orange. There's more to that orange, and you'll find out we are more confident and willing to try things. We think more creatively and more deeply. So we're just not looking at something and saying, oh, that's a person in a boat. We're taking that in another kind of direction. People with disabilities can understand and talk about art because there's a perception out there that art is too sophisticated and too complicated for people with disabilities to think about and talk about. And so the self-advocates in our group have said that's not true. We now understand that being a leader goes beyond the role of being the boss.
So sometimes we think the person at the front of the room who's telling people is the leader, and this group is saying that's not true. So they might have thought that when they started, but they're beginning to think about leadership in different kinds of ways. So this is Anya. Some of you may know Anya. She's holding up her sketchbook, and this is one of the homework assignments that we asked everybody to do. And one of the things that's important to the group is that Aaron and I do all the homework as well. So they really appreciate it. So we're learning as well. So everybody is doing the same thing at the same time.
But probably everybody in our group is better at the homework than I am. I tend to lose mine, my dog eats it. Last month, I was so careful last month to get my homework done, and somebody broke into my car and stole it.
At least that's the story we brought to the group. So yes, we have some issues. But again, these are the things that people said that they were getting out of our brain. They like who they are, sort of connects back to the very first activity you did this morning about what I like about myself, and then other people going around and saying positive things. I am willing to explore and try new things. For a lot of us, art making is new, or it feels kind of scary. It's a risk for some of us to do it and then share it. Everyone in our group has different abilities with their art making, but over time, people have said, I'm willing to give that a go. I'm learning about learning and how our brain works. Again, this would be something that people would say is too hard for people with disabilities to understand that. And again, everyone's learning that that's not true. Understanding how your brain works is really important to be aware of. I am more aware of my decision making. All of you know that being a leader means you need to think about a lot of things and make choices, even in the moment. We're doing that this morning. We're a big group. We probably won't be able to go around to every big piece of paper. So in the moment, whoever is facilitating that group needs to make a decision about how we're going to do it. So they became aware of their own decision making. I am connected to many things. Often others told me I was a leader. I never believed it. Now I think of myself as a leader. So it's important to have that sense within yourself, not just for other people to believe that about yourself. So lots of things are going on for all of us. So this is, I won't say very much about this because Aaron's going to do this with you. Is this the one? Yes, it is. So again, this is what the group, so there's a picture up here with the orange, so you're going to learn about what that's about in a minute. But this is what the group said leadership means. This is after a year. Being part of a group and taking on projects. Anyone can be a leader. Seeing things differently, helping friends, and being a positive mentor. And I saw that up in some of the sheets that people put up today. Being strong and caring about others, giving others directions, but not too much. So not being that boss. Being supportive. Helping people have a voice and pushing them out of their comfort zone. And again, many people talked about that they have a voice, or how important having a voice is in supporting other people to have a voice. So some of the things that you're saying is some of the stuff that this group is also saying.
And trying not to be too bossy. Sometimes that happens, right? So like, say what you that's helpful, and if it helps them, then yeah.
Or maybe something you have to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
So you might be a bossy person. Some of us are. And you have to ask yourself, is that a good thing in the leadership that's going on? And if it's helpful, then be like that. If it's not helpful, stop being like that.
Only bosses in this world, and who's those things?
On the other side of that is, people don't like being told what to do, and I'm one of them.
That's a really good point. So bossy people kind of get in the way of that, right? And then you pull back often, and you don't want to participate. So one of the things now, we're going into 2020, and you know, big things happen in 2020. So this is beginning of COVID. We couldn't meet, obviously. We had all those rules about we couldn't be together. So we started a 28-day art challenge. So every day people were sent something to do. And they did it. That's a lot, that's a month. Every day doing something. It was hard and fun. Was it fun?
It was fun and hard, but I like my aspect about it. I love the Zoom because then everyone can be a part of it.
Right, so after a while of being alone with our art, we switched over to Zoom. And it was really interesting to do that because it would be like a 2-hour Zoom. That's a long time. And then we began to switch into a new question. So now they talked about leadership, and then the second question was, can I teach what I know? Because we're talking about supporting people, being involved. So I've learned a lot about leadership, about myself. Can I do that with other people? So we've got another question coming in. And then we did the Zoom.
Yeah.
And I think everybody liked that. They seem to have the technology skills to participate. So that went on for months.
Yeah.
You gotta just, actually, it's okay.
So then we were allowed to meet again. So this was last year, and because we had a bit of time when you could meet if you sat 6 feet apart with your chairs in the park, those kinds of things. And we did that, and we spent some time exploring cedar trees. And that we looked, can the trees teach us about art? So we spent a lot of time doing that. So we spent a lot of time outside, obviously, in parks. So the group said, okay, can we spend a whole year going outside doing something? And we said, okay, and so if you're going to go outside to do art, you have to go out rain or shine. You don't get to say, oh, it's rainy this month, we're not going.
Wear your raincoat, have your supplies.
Yeah, so sometimes, as Liz says, we had to go out in the rain, and sometimes it was really hot, like in the summertime, and so you're wearing your hats, etc. So we continued with what is the leadership, but we're exploring it outside, through nature, and continuing to do art. So this is Selena. She's in Central Park in Burnaby, if you know where that is. And I think it was Aaron who guided us through a way to draw whatever is in front of us. So I think we're drawing through the duck pond that's there. So more outside. We're at White Rock.
Oh.
This is Ben and Barb. We're at a picnic table doing art. It was a rainy day, so here we are at Spectrum Society, which is where we often meet. But we're outside because there's a hanging over us, so we're not going to get rained on. But we're sitting in our chairs, and we're drawing whatever is in front of us, which is a street and a school. So we're staying outside all the time doing our art. But then we gather as a group and talk about what is this teaching us about leadership.
The thing that kept happening in these kind of public art making was like when we were in White Rock, so we had all our tools set up at a picnic table, and we were drawing pictures of the water and the beach and the rocks. And people kept thinking it was some kind of an art class, so they would come and sit down with us. And then they'd be like trying to learn about art, because we were learning about art, which was a cool thing. It was great, because we got lots of connections. Yeah, and the same thing, like we were on the street, but people kept kind of stopping and wondering should they be joining us.
And see, that would be something that would be risk-taking for me. To be out making art and have somebody watch me makes me nervous. So early on, I know you love it, but that's something that makes, so I have to work at that to get more comfortable and to take a risk. You never know what's going to happen with that risk.
Okay, quick story. There was one time at one conference, I was down at the bar, I had my sketchbook, and I was just looking at coloring and loving it. having my one drink before bed, and I had to go come up behind me as I was doing the work, and you really need to the bar.
You can take your sketchbook anywhere, so this was mine. And you can see it's kind of falling apart now because it's got all the art in, you're happy to look at it. And I've got another one, so some of us we're on our third sketchbook. Because all the work is in there, but if you had a little one, or you could take that one anywhere. And you can do exactly what we did. You sit and draw, color, whatever is in front of you.
And the feedback from people has been that the sketchbooks are a really important part of what we're doing. We're using them to do their homework and for journaling and to collect all the things that they learned about. So if out of this you decide you want to make one change to bring more art and leadership into your life, getting a sketchbook is a good thing.
Yes.
So this was maybe this was last month. So there's Ben and Christina, who is a new member, and her husband, Oren. And we were doing a jigsaw activity that didn't quite come out the way I thought it would come out. Mm-hmm. And so, because we had someone missing who didn't come. This is when your homework was stolen, so we didn't have Aaron's piece. I think someone flipped it over and colored the wrong side, so the pieces didn't fit. But even, that was you, thank you for admitting that. So even though it didn't kind of work, we had a great conversation about leadership. Like what happens when your plan doesn't work out? And so we had to go, especially me, had to go like, oh dear. So even though our art or our projects aren't quite what we expected, you can do some really good talking about that and learning from that, which was, I think, one of the most powerful things we did, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, and so in being a leader, part of that is always having a plan B and a C and a D, and having some kind of an attitude that's going to generate more learning. And so this month's homework, I'm not sure whether to say that, was what do we learn from our mistakes, right? Like often we learn more making mistakes than we learn if we actually succeed the way that we thought we were supposed to.
And part of the homework that we put together is because people are asking questions in the month before, or they're saying kinds of things that make us think, well, that would be a good thing to explore. And so then we frame it so that we can then talk about it.
My mistake was not coming in time, but I tried the best I can.
So as Erin says, we have a video of Art Brain and interviewing people, because as I said, not everyone is here, but it's not quite completed yet. So when it is finished, we'll let the organizers know and they can forward it to you. So this is our current group. There's the pile of everybody's sketchbooks, so you can see over time they get big and fat and look like they're falling apart, which is what a sketchbook is supposed to look like. The stuff in your sketchbook is not perfect making art. It's exploring, it's sketching, it's putting out an idea and trying to figure out what it means. And so now we're at the part where we're going to get you to do things. At the end of our time, we're going to give a bit of time, hopefully, for you to ask questions if you have them. But we really want to engage you in working in the kinds of things that we would do in our workshops. So you get a sense of it and understand a little more, perhaps, or differently than what that's about.
Does anybody have any questions so far? Quick question? Richard, is that your hand up? Or? Yeah? Yeah? What's your question?
Did you realize that there was at the Broadway station, there's a giant spider on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
I was you were talking about spiders, so I was thinking of that.
Spiders are really interesting. Louise Bourgeois. Hey, Liz.
Your turn to work.
Spiders are interesting, right? Because people are afraid of them and we think they're horrible and ugly and stuff, but Louise Bourgeois said they're actually like really maternal. Like spiders are taking care of us all the time. They're eating bugs, they're cleaning things up. And if we look, and for her, they reminded her of her mother, right? So one of the things that she was doing was she was creating these presences of her mother and putting them all over the world. So her mom is actually like taking care of everyone in the world. Right? Yeah.
How many spiders are there?
There's tons.
Yeah, good answer, Liz. Okay. Tons. Okay. So one of the things that we do every Liz, stop moving away. One of the things that we do is graphic recording. And so graphic recording, graphic facilitation. So the difference is when we're doing graphic recording, we just document what people are talking about as they talk about it. That works really well for people with disabilities in particular, but it also works for everybody, right? So it's, why do you think it works? Why does it work to see a picture of what you're talking about? Yeah.
Visual.
Yeah. It's visual.
When you see, it's like a puzzle, and you're trying to put everything in you step one, step two, and then you see it like as you're doing leadership. You take, then you can. It's kind of like voicing your problems out, but you're putting it on paper, and you see where you can fix it.
Yeah. So if we're talking about spiders, and I draw a picture of a dragonfly, what you might say, that's not a spider.
No, that's a problem.
That's a problem. It's a problem if we're talking about one thing, and then we have a different thing in our picture. And that works really well for folks with disabilities. The first thing, you know, Bryce and I, when he was like 18, and I was 17 because he's older than me. We did role playing around what happens if you make a plan with your social worker, and then your social worker comes in and does something different than what you agreed to, right? What would you say? Remember that?
Yeah, I was totally.
Yeah. We had a woman be the social worker, and then Bryce wanted to move into his own apartment. And she was all about that. I'm going to support you to do that. And then we showed up for the meeting with the funder, and the social worker said, "Yeah, Bryce needs to go live in a group home now," right? And so then we kind of played that out. How could that look, right? How would that look? What would you do? What kinds of things could you say? And one of the things that we found out is that happens a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people make an agreement, walk into a room, and find somebody's broken the agreement, and they're not assertive enough because we don't really train people to be assertive.
Now you see why I point that out a lot.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago, but it continues.
I still remember it.
Continues to be a lesson, right? Everywhere we go. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that graphic recording works. The other is it depends less on literacy, so it depends less on reading and writing. So that means that we can include everybody. We can include people who are new to Canada, who don't know English, people with disabilities who often think they can't read. One of the things that Susan does is she supports the Next Chapter Book Club, which is a book club for folks with disabilities. And when people want to come into the club, we used to interview them to see what it was they were looking for. And I think every single person we interviewed came in and said, "I can't read, I'm illiterate." Because in school, people had told them they were illiterate, right? Or you have a grade 2 reading level and stuff. But it actually turned out a lot of them could read, right? And then people told us stories. One of the stories that I recently heard was a guy with a disability who used to go stay with his cousins, and at night when the parents were in bed, they would all get under the covers with flashlights and read comic books, right? How many people have done that? Yeah, but see, it didn't qualify as a school-based literacy activity, and so then he said, "I'm illiterate, I can't read." But in fact, he was reading comics the whole time. You can start drawing anytime, please. So we're going to look at oranges. Why would we look at oranges? What do you think that's about? Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to do it in a really specific way. So remember not to eat your orange. I want you to be kind of in groups of 3. I want one person to be the storyteller. You're going to tell a story about your orange. One person to be the listener and the scribe. So Liz gave you each a piece of paper, right? So write down or draw pictures of what the story that's being told you is. The third role is a really important one to think about. The third role is to be the helper. What do you think that's about?
Oh, and there's a saying that you might know called "Look for the helpers."
Look for the helpers, Mr. Rogers.
You got it.
So what is the helper going to do? Tanya, what does a helper do? Help you? How? Okay. If I run over here, running very well. But if I run over here and say, come on, Tanya, it's time for the bathroom, come on, let's go. Is that helpful? No, because you didn't actually want to do that, right? So does that happen sometimes, where people are trying to help you with something you're not wanting to be helped with? Yeah? So we really need to learn how to say what it is we need help with, in as clear as a way as we can. And so, unfortunately, we get almost no practice doing that. And the people that support us get almost no practice in figuring out what's actually going to be helpful. Right? So this is a way to kind of give us a little experience of that help. So one person's going to be a storyteller, one person's going to be a scribe and write down the story, and one person's going to help. Right? And I was doing some work up north, and people were telling stories about snowmobiles. Right? And the people who were trying to draw the stories were going, I can't draw a snowmobile. And at one of the tables, there was this woman, and she did this picture, and she said, that's the best snowmobile I can draw. And the person who was helping said, you know what? That's a good snowmobile. You're doing great. And she was like, oh, okay, and she got more confident and went on. And at another table, somebody said, I can draw a snowmobile, and they took the paper and they drew this perfect snowmobile. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. That's two ideas about helping that are completely different, right? And so then we started experimenting with this more, and with my students, until 2 weeks ago, trained students to go work in the school system with kids with disabilities. So, and so it's good for them to be thinking about what's helpful, because often it's different than what we're assuming is going to be helpful. So decide at your table who's going to be the storyteller, who's going to be the story recorder, and who's going to be the helper. Just in 1 minute, just decide. And we're going to all switch roles, so don't. If you don't do it now, you won't be getting out of it in a minute. You can move, yeah. Group of 3 is perfect. Liz has got her timer on, set for 5 minutes. So I want the storyteller to look at this orange that you've got. You can do whatever you want. Now you can eat your orange if you want. Only the storyteller. You can take it apart. You can do whatever. And think about how leadership is like an orange. So that's a metaphor. Metaphor is a big word. Bart Good, who talks about plain language, says it's okay to use big words as long as you explain them. So the idea of a metaphor is something is like something else, right? It's the basic way that we learn anything, is we already know one thing, we figure out something that's like that, and then we can learn the next thing. So leadership is like an orange. So think about that, and then tell a story about it or talk about it. And the person who's scribing is going to make some notes about what you're talking about. And Liz, are you set for 5 minutes, Liz?
I am.
Okay. So in 5 minutes, we're going to switch roles, and the storyteller will become the scribe.
Okay, so oh, sorry. There's mornings, great things about it. So you have something about things that we got everybody else around. One thing that we got what they learned from the whole time.
Hey Liz, how are we for time? Okay, so our 5 minutes is up. Hello, our 5 minutes is up. Hey, are you ready for the next step? Yep. Has anyone got anything they want to share at this point?
Oh, yeah.
You got something? What do you think?
Okay, so we did a little story. Okay, so we did a story, and we found out we had something all in common. So Richard is the storyteller, and we were all giving ideas and contributing to it. So the Christmas orange is everybody's favorite. And so this is Richard. I can eat 4, but every 30 minutes I can divide. So not eat them all at once. So make that 4 orange last over 30 minutes. And then also to peel my orange all in one strand without breaking your orange peel. And then we were very, very similar, and it's funny, at Christmas, orange is like a toy to us adults, and even as kids. And then we finally decide that we're gonna take off all that white skin as much as possible off our orange. And then we realize we have a perfect Christmas orange.
Those are great. 3 stories. Hey Liz, can you put this on the drawing? It's like 3 stories that I've never heard in this exercise. So this idea of a Christmas orange.
We have a story over here.
Okay, wow. The idea of a Christmas orange. One of the things about making a peel is one whole segment. You know, one of the things we used to do when I was a kid was we'd try to peel the orange, we would throw it over your shoulder, and the initial that it made would be who you were going to marry.
So this is the story about the traveling orange. Once there was an orange who was lonely. The orange that was lonely wanted to travel to make some other friends. Why? To create a group of different fruits from all walks of life. Because the other fruit has other types of skills to help them lead the group.
Nice.
So that's why when I see this, I could see a little orange just walking along and traveling to different markets.
You got an orange with personality.
Yeah. Oh. I see personality in all things.
Okay, just a couple more, and then we're going to do this again. Yep. Here you go.
Right, so one day, the days are gone. One day, you see second you don't know what road to take. You take a chance and you talk to people. You get some info. You go with the way they tell you. You get other people's ideas. You get people's different, how things should be. One day it's memory of trying to learn how to do things better.
Did you all write write that together? Or did somebody write that? Wow, that's beautiful. Beautiful poem, but where? Okay, maybe just one more and then we're gonna do this again. Yeah. Chris, or Chelsea?
Orange peel is the net holds leadership together.
Nice.
These sections are like people come together to make our leadership successful.
Beautiful. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I put leadership as like an orange, so this is my story. You're a mountain climber. Leadership is like climbing to get where you want to, and you want to reach the top, but you can't without support, so you come together to form a team. 1, you gotta have commitment from people. 2, you need people you trust, because if you rush, you'll all fall down. So you have to work as a team and figure out a way to get to the top without rushing it. So hold each other's hands, and all together you lift people up to the top. And that's it.
It's a gorgeous picture of orange they drew. So what was it like to be the helper? Who was a helper? Yeah. What was that like?
Kind of challenging because like kind of had to like finish the story on the spot.
Yeah. So challenging to be the storyteller.
Yeah.
But what was it like to be the helper? Were you the helper?
Yeah. I came up with ideas for the story.
Okay, so you were helping people come up with ideas? Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Yeah. Were you the helper like that?
I was the helper. She was the scriber in the story too.
Yeah. And what was it like to be a helper?
It was trying to think about how does the story go? How can Kimberly take that story and put it a little further together?
Right. So helping people to kind of expand their possibilities by doing that. That's an interesting one. Whenever I end up working with Michael, right, the first time I met him, he always teaches me more about helping people by being really clear about what help he needs and doesn't need.
Hi, for me, helping was a good feeling, and it just, you're helping that person tell their story, and it's just amazing to be able to do that, because you're helping, and not only you're helping yourself mentally feel good helping somebody else, you're helping them feel good about themselves, and you're helping, helping people, the story be told.
So that's a really good point. So folks with disabilities were considered not to have stories, right? Until about 1958. And then it was Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. Who knows who Dale Evans and Roy Rogers is? A few people, yeah. So Dale Evans, they had a baby with a disability, and they wrote a book about it called Angel Unaware. It's a little girl named Robin. And what was interesting is, so Dale Evans is really famous at the time, right? Sort of like Lady Gaga now. When I tell my students, it was like Lady Gaga, but in 1955. And so she said, so imagine if Lady Gaga wrote a book and sent it to people to publish. Do you think they'd want to publish it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dale Evans wrote a book about a kid with a disability, sent it out, and 50 publishers said, no, we don't want to read this, we don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear about people with disabilities. Okay? And finally, the 51st publisher was actually somebody who made greeting cards, and they said, we love this story, we're going to publish it.
Write it down.
Okay, you got it? You ready? You ready? Perfect.
Do I get to eat this coconut area?
Yes, you can eat it.
Is it the same piece?
It's all the senses, right? Multimodal leadership experience.
And you know why? I'm gentle. It's something that, and I think you talked about your approach, how we say things to people.
Hi, everybody.
They're part of it.
So once we get Michael's story, we're gonna ask the same question, what was it like to be a helper?
Kimberly's going to read this.
And then Erin's gonna record, and we're just gonna do a few, maybe people who didn't get to speak their first time, might choose to speak this time, okay? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so how is leadership like an orange? It rolls down a path to learn skills from other oranges that are different types, which start to create a group to learn about advocacy leadership, how to advocate and educate across North America, which will start other groups to grow their leadership from different types of oranges across North America.
So the question for you, Michael, is what was it like to be a helper?
I was the helper.
You was the helper. Yeah, you were reading the story.
She was reading the story, she said that is my story.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
so what was it like to be a helper?
It was actually fun.
So it's fun.
Yeah, like I said, I like writing stories, I'm a writer. So
So you got to.
if someone wants to write a story, like if they can't write or anything and they tell me their story, I can write it down for them. It's no problem.
But it makes you feel good, you're very comfortable, because you've got a skill that really supports what another
Yeah.
person is asking for.
The only problem is the punctuation, and maybe the little spelling mistakes, but other than that.
Maybe get on the computer, so it makes all that out. Great, thank you. No, that's okay, so Liz, you can pick. The next one you ask. Good?
This is Tony's story. And he decided that he liked all these oranges. So this is Mom. This is the two kids. And Mom has a disability and the two kids do. And so in the picture, we have life and doors that are closed. How will I raise these two kids, she says. They have disabilities. I don't want my kids being bullied. So I want them to have a good life, and I need some support as well. So they decided, they heard about agency, CLBC, and they said, I need something to protect my kids. I need them to help me, and they help them find an agency who supports my kids so that they can have good life skills, and I can, and that we can learn about interpersonal skills, and that they found an agency that would listen instead of tell them what to do. Finally, an agency that understands and respects us listened up, and the doors opened up.
Liz, before you go on, Liz, just wait a minute. Who is the helper at this table? James. Can you say a little bit about how it felt to be a helper? Just maybe one or two things.
I've been told to stop helping too much, so it's more of listening. So I use these two, and this a little less. So that was something for me in a learning. But it was very like, I didn't have to, Tony just started, it just poured out of him. And I just helped here and there, and I asked, and he got me help. So it was like, I didn't have to do that much. I helped color it, and I helped with the storage, and just poured out one.
So that's ideas, we can help too much, which I think people have brought up before, and that being guided by the person about how much help they want and need. So that's the listening, or they'll say, can you help me with this? So being guided by other people.
Yeah, that's really good, right?
Excuse me, is this a question or?
Oh, no, we were gonna tell a little story.
There's a few people over here who, when you're done there, Liz, there's a few people here.
So we'll do this one and then we'll move to that side of the room.
So my name's Eric, and our story is that the orange is a self-advocate. It's at a conference. Well, it's intended to be at a conference, but it's not there yet. It's about to fly off on an airplane to the concert. But the orange's flight gets held back due to weather. So the orange can't get there. And so Orange calls the conference to tell them it's going to be late. And the conference suggests the orange just drives to the concert. But the orange refuses because that'll take longer and it'll be even later. So the orange just waits, and eventually the orange gets on the flight and makes it to the conference and tells anyone about it. So the orange was persistent and didn't give up. Yeah, she was my helper.
I was the helper, the scribe, and the storyteller.
Okay, and what did it feel like to be the helper?
I do very boisterous. It was actually very natural for me because I'm used to writing, so it was really good. But just to hear stories and to hear people's perspectives on what they see compared to what you see is very unique and really inspiring.
So it's very similar to Kimberly. I've got a skill, and that supports the person, and I'm comfortable using that skill. Great. Liz, way over there.
Are you over here?
Hand up, whoever. There we go. Bryce is taking. Bryce is taking.
Yeah.
I'll get to you after.
So, Liz, if you're okay, we're gonna answer your questions a little different. So telling the story, it's almost like, I'm just gonna say this, maybe Bryce and I don't wanna share our story. It was actually because it was more of an experience. There was, and you picked up, there was this sensory, and there was these feelings, and it was really, a really, really cool experience. So words would float out, but not a story. What was more interesting was the helper role. So we didn't have a helper, there's only two of us. So what unfolded was a natural experience of helping each other when we didn't even realize what we were doing. And I would say that the reason that experience unfolded so naturally and is because of our relationship and our friendship and the trust we have for each other. It was like invisible, right? It was really cool. So that whole helping piece there, right? Taking out the word, it was just this natural thing that happened, right? And our pictures are really cool too.
One of the things I hear in your story, because you're now telling a story, is about relationships, and that you have one, and sometimes it's easier to have help because you know the person, and so then it becomes very natural. They know you, you know them, and so it doesn't feel maybe quite as risky.
A balanced approach is what you need.
A balanced approach, that's a
For
really
both
nice
sides.
way
They're
of
not
saying it.
overwhelmed and you're not overwhelmed.
And you have a trust. So again, trust is something that we try and build in groups, and leaders need to think about how to do that, or we need to help each other build those kinds of things. So in the story, from your experience, those are the things that popped up for me in terms of helping. So, and that, it's another great example. And you went at it in a different kind of way, which I think another table that hasn't shared their story talked about as well.
Just let it unfold. We weren't really listening to the rules of the exercise. It just started happening. And what was really cool is that what we've learned from this is how our brains are so alike. They're cut from the same piece of cloth. We kind of knew that, and now it was just actually proven.
So I think we have time for one more.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Okay, this was kind of a different approach as well. This is Jen's story. She got a little bit stuck at the beginning, so I kind of, as a helper, I kind of gave her some advice and also encouraged her to keep going as well, and gave her different ideas as well. So, an orange is kind of reminds me of the sunset. It is beautiful to see outside, and the colors outside of the sunset over the water on the ocean side. It feels smooth and elegant, yellow, orange, pink, blue. At the end of the day, it's hot over the outside, over the green outside, cool or hot during the heat wave, cool when you go to sleep.
Your second part. So now you're.
I think it's almost lunchtime, but we have one more maybe?
No, I think Susan.
No.
Oh yeah, I got time. It's only 1:45.
We have a few minutes before our lunch. I know it's sometimes hard to stay when something else is going on in your mind. But we said we would give you a bit of time to ask any of us. There's 3 people here connected to Art Brain. Any questions that you have about Art Brain? So you've heard a little bit about it, seen some pictures. You did an activity that we did in your, and we've done in our group, and Aaron actually took it to the students in a college. So again, we're talking about things that adult learners would do. So the people in our group very much said, would you do things like adult learners, which we've been doing. So you now have had an experience. So is there anything you want to learn or ask questions about Art Brain?
I already have shared my
I got one too. I got one too.
Okay. Sorry, we know each other's names, I don't. Oh, you're taking it. A helper. Yeah.
So when you go to different places, like coming here today to teach us about it, what do you do with the stories and stuff? Like, what do you do with them?
We wrote a book, which is in the Brooklyn Library of Art.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
The book?
No, that's the library.
It's called Art Brain. It's called Art Brain. They turned it into a book, and then it's a virtual book, and then it went on a tour of Europe, and now they're reconfiguring post-COVID. They're reconfiguring that museum. That's one of the things that we did. We wrote an article for the British Journal of Learning Disabilities that got accepted, but then later on they decided that it wasn't academic enough, right? And so we're still working on that, but it's been tentatively accepted by a journal about dialogue, about creating dialogue, right? With different communities. So.
And the other thing we would do, like what we did here, those stories would go in our sketchbook. And we would share them with our group and learn from each other's stories. And so that's one of the ways we would use our our sketchbook and hold our stories until we wanted to do something like what Aaron talked about.
Yeah, and so that's been interesting because people will go to different places than we were expecting. So, you know, we did a module about one artist, and then a few months later, somebody came back and said, I was looking at that picture again, and I realized this is what I need to do to get along with my family and demonstrate who I am, right? And it's like, so they learned something from an artist who did a painting in about 1820 that kind of changed the perceptions of what painting was, right? And they figured out a new way to be with their family, where they got to say what they were thinking and feeling. So that's one of the things that I think is interesting about using art and humanities instead of special education. Has a long history of kind of training people into trainable things, like trainable skills, but not training them to think critically about what their lives and communities are like. So it's a different approach to that question. Yeah, Bryce.
Yeah.
So before you say that, Bryce, I just want to add one more comment. So what you just did, we would call deep thinking, because we didn't just ask you to describe the orange. You would have said whatever. But this is kind of deep thinking, critical thinking, reflective thinking. And so as Aaron says, people often thought that people with disabilities, self-advocates could not do that. And you just demonstrated that yes, you can. And so part of our work is to share that, just like you're sharing, because it's a really important thing for other people to understand. That you can explore issues in a really deep way and then make a contribution back to all of us to understand whatever we're talking about. So I want you to be proud of yourself. You just demonstrated something that I think other people would go, wow.
So the question I would like to know is when we all get distracted, or we should probably learn about maybe topics, when we're on, we have to get on topics on sometimes, and we're not. And how would you illustrate how would that work if you did? Because we all get distracted with everything else, and we're off topic. You know, we need, if we're gonna do this, it's just something that interested in, just keep focused is basically what I was going with. If we did something about illustrating something with that.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think Susan and I would answer it in opposite ways. There's a thing in education and the history of civilization where they use a tree as the model for how knowledge works.
I think I saw that.
And so you've got roots, and then you've got different branches of knowledge. There's another thing that happens after the Second World War. It's called rhizomatic knowledge. And so that's the idea that things like grass and irises and different plants like that grow best where the conditions are most favorable, right? And so the distraction might not be the distraction. The distraction might be the opening to some new idea, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that Golda said is it wasn't really a story. It was this multi-sense. It was the smell of the orange. As soon as Richard told the story about the oranges, the Christmas oranges, I don't know about you, but my mind just went 50, 60 years of experiences of people telling those orange stories. My grandparents told me those stories that I hadn't even really thought about. The stories that you come up with this afternoon are completely different from any of the ones that we've done in the same workshop. We have the same kinds of oranges, same questions, and your stories are totally different. And they're really important stories to tell. Liz.
There's one other thing. Who knows this thing? So, if you think about orange, you go out traveling with family or friends, and you go and get a whiskey. Who knows that the peel is actually grated into the whiskey? Who knows that?
It's an old fashioned.
Oh, it's been that way.
Now I just want a whiskey with it.
2 o'clock somewhere.
One more thing. You know the best thing about whiskey is when someone else buys it for you.
You're gonna say it? Go ahead. Yeah.
So Liz and I were doing a workshop for teachers in Merritt, and so we were getting them to draw and think about their work and think about how they are with kids and how kids with disabilities need to be included in the community and how they work, and then how to grow those ideas. And Liz was supposed to be doing graphic recording with me, and she wandered away. Just like walked off, and I was like, Liz, come back, you need to do this. And she's like, I'll see you later. And she's at the back of the room doing yoga.
Yeah.
And I was getting kind of frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And so I just continued to draw. And then she got up and she started going from table to table, talking to them. And I was like, well, whatever, they're doing working, and then we had lunch. And then people kept coming up and showing me their drawings. One after, like 200 teachers wanted to show me what they did. And I was like, yeah, good drawing, good horse. And then Liz came and she said, you were doing fine with the graphics. You didn't need me to do the graphics. I needed to figure out what they needed, and what they needed was someone to come to their table and tell them that they could draw.
Yeah, no, you're right, yeah.
And so that's what she did. She went around to the table and she just said, good job, you can draw, this is going really well. And then she said, you should go show Aaron your drawing. People were coming like I was the dad. Right? So anyway, so I think sometimes what we offer is different from what we expected to offer.
Yeah.
And that's a gift that people with disabilities particularly bring communities.
Yeah, the basic, it was more or less, when we come up with new ideas, it's basically, and you're focusing hard on it, it's kind of like illustrate, how do you, if something goes wrong, and then you pull yourself out, and then you have another idea, and then, but it might mix in between. It's kind of like a pull out and pull in kind of situation, and like a problem solving, and how would you illustrate in like problem solving skill is the biggest and most. Yeah.
Just to make a comment on what you just said, Bryce, one of the things we talk about in leadership is use the word pause. And that's a really important word to think about. But one of the ways you can actually, like you're sitting like this, and one of the ways you can pause is actually pull your chair back. And you just take a few seconds to think about, observe what's going on here, and then you pull yourself back in. So you actually can do that yourself, or you could ask the whole group, as you were talking about focus, is literally to do that, and then come back to whatever you were doing. There's people who write about leadership who talk about the pause. So it could be just a long pause, but you might have to go away, come back a year later or months later, as Aaron was saying, because you have another thinking. But in the moment, you can just still yourself. It almost fits in with your mindfulness, but that physical sensation of pulling back and then pulling forward can help with that refocusing.
Yeah, with Asperger's, that's kind of typical when you're dealing with it, and everything's so tight, because I got it, and you try to understand meanings of people, and you're just constantly just keeping your focus on it, because if you get 1 second later, you're out of whack, and you never know where you go, right? But when some people look at us in different ways, and it's embarrassing at times, but this is what we have to do, right? Just bear with me, but it's more or less, it's when you try to teach that in a focus range, because that's what we do. It's like we focus on something and we can't get ourselves off of it. It's one of those.
Too focused or too distracted?
Sensory. It's like a sensory kind of. Got it. Like got to have a rig perfect.
So we have time for one more question, and then we're going to have to stop. Because we're running out of time, and it's going to be lunch in any minute. So.
This woman in the
Great.
How many years you guys have been doing by doing art?
Well, we started in 2019 as a group, so almost 4 years.
But before then, I did 2 big research projects that took about 8 years and involved people with disabilities in Ottawa and then all over the Pacific Northwest. So Liz and Barb and I talked to about 450 people at different conferences about art and leadership and
That was
stuff like
fun.
that. Yeah, and recorded all their ideas. Bryce was part of a he was part of my supervision committee for my degree, so they had ideas about how I could talk to
Did you find out what the results was? How many are really serious? Like how many groups? How many? Remember that time we were going to finish off and then we just went all the results on it.
Yeah, and then that turned into a PowerPoint.
Yeah. But it was you were gonna like there was a second half of it coming or something. It didn't kind of.
It did. It was all done.
Yeah. I'll have to find it again. That's
part
probably
of Bryce and the committee's idea from my work was that it had to have. So maybe it didn't then.
Yeah.
That it had to be accessible to everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
And so one of the things that people with disabilities who've been involved in research said was that folks come and they say, oh, be part of my project, and we'll come back and explain it to you later, and then they never came back.
No.
And so then they said, so we want you to come back.
That was years ago now.
Yeah.
So I think Kimberly wants to say a few minutes and then we'll break for lunch, right?
Well, thank you, Liz, Susan, and Aaron, for is lunch served now? Okay, lunch is served now.
And you can eat your orange.
Hey, you have markers, can you just bring them up here?
Here, I can get out. Do you want me in there?
Okay, Sebastian and I are at our
That was a great presentation.
So like going back to Street. One of those things. Oops, better stop that before.